Manchester City versus Atletico Madrid. Yes, Pep Guardiola taking on Diego Simeone. Pep, the overthinker. Yeah, Pep, I told you ahead of that Champions League last year, don't overthink it. And yes, you did overthink it, and that's why you lost. So don't be coming after the journalists, mate. All right? Don't be coming after the journalists. No, I'm only joking, City fans, all right? It's a huge game. It's a clash of styles as well, isn't it, James? Do you think this is a good or a bad draw for Manchester City?
I think it's a good draw. I think I don't know, look, Atletico Madrid are playing really well at the moment, won the last 6 games in La Liga. Obviously, have beaten a Manchester side already, which obviously means absolutely nothing when it comes to playing Man City because they play very differently. But overall, I think it could have been a hell of a lot worse for them. You know, this is a team that are going to allow you to have the ball. Can you break them down? We will see. I guess that's something to talk about in terms of teams that have stopped Man City previously. You've had one or two sides, Liverpool quite a few years ago, who's kind of went toe to toe for them, were able to sort of break them down. But aside from that, it's often teams that are able to sort of play on the counter attack at times, be very, very diligent in their defensive work. Someone like Hector Herrera, who's astounding for me in the United game, is going to have an amazing couple of games for them as well, just marshalling those gaps in between, which of course Man City like to sort of get involved with. But ultimately, it'll come down to taking the chances when you get them, because they will be few and far between, and they will be on the counter attack. And that is something that Atletico Madrid have more so than a lot of teams that play with a low block and are used to playing with a low block. So going into it, there will be a lot of fanfare about Simeone and what he will bring, and the dark arts of Atletico Madrid, which we saw a lot of against Manchester United as well. But overall, when you break it down to football, Man City should be winning this game, don't think you?
I do, but I do think the clash of styles actually plays into Atletico's hands. If you watch the false nine, and sometimes it's a double false nine, it seems that Guardiola's preferred to put Phil Foden and Kevin De Bruyne to do that role, usually Foden through the middle, sometimes Grealish, and De Bruyne supporting. You don't feel like if you play the ball into one of those two in the penalty area, they have the physical presence to turn one of those Atletico defenders, maybe make something happen with their back to goal. It's impossible. You either get them the ball with their face to goal in behind, or really they haven't got the natural movements of a striker, and they haven't got the presence of someone like an Erling Haaland, who could be going to Manchester City next season. And I think if they had someone like that, this would be a far easier tie. I'm not saying Manchester City won't go through, but actually I think they need to have a comfortable lead after this first leg. You know, if it's a draw, if they lose this first match, I don't see them going through. I think that the away leg's going to be very, very difficult for them. And I think Atletico will have more joy there, if you like. So I do think they need to capitalize on the game this week, but I don't see how they are fluent goal-scoring form against the side like Atletico Madrid. They'll be denied space, they'll be treated aggressively, and they might have one eye on that game against Liverpool next weekend.
It's interesting, and it's been a narrative throughout the season, Hugh, this talking point of not having that striker. And there have been so many reports recently about Haaland, where he's going to go. And if you have a look on the ESPN website, espn.co.uk, the Insider Notebook, they're talking about Haaland, and they're saying that apparently Man City are the front runners now. Of course, there's that £75 million release clause that needs to get sorted out. But also it sounds like there's another release clause within the contract that Haaland wants baked into any contract that he has moving forward, which is going to be a bit of a hurdle that they're going to need to try and get over. But the one thing that we always talk about Man City missing for a team that, let's be honest, doesn't really miss anything. They'll just be the odd game in a game with so many variables where they don't break down the opposition. But the one thing is that striker position. So for them to go and get Haaland, that's a game changer, isn't it?
Manchester City miss natural goal-scoring strikers. They do. Whether they'll admit it or not, whether it comes across in their results, that's a different thing. You watch so many of their games, you're getting balls rolled across the 6-yard box, and you're wondering where that number 9 is to just tap them into the back of the net. When it doesn't click for that false 9, it looks like a disaster that they haven't got a top draw.
It's very rare that it doesn't click, though.
Yes, it is very rare, but it's still something they miss. I actually think they'd win virtually every game if they had someone like Erling Haaland or Robert Lewandowski in their team. I actually think that the Premier League might be a foregone conclusion by now if they had a natural centre forward of real quality.
Let me ask you this, Hugh, because I guess that's the only thing is, with everything, with every player that goes in and comes out, there's a chain reaction. Man City have been playing this style of football for, 2 years now, because Aguero is pretty much injured for the bulk of last season. If Haaland does come in, do they lose anything, Man City, or do they just go into a different stratosphere?
I don't think they lose anything, to be perfectly honest. Because Pep Guardiola has developed all of those players. He has improved all of his players, and scary as it seems, he will improve Erling Haaland if he goes to Manchester City. He will make him a more well-rounded centre forward who is more appreciative of his teammates, because there will be far more high quality. And if he adds that to his game, we know what he is. He's a great goal scorer, and you need to be selfish to put the numbers up that he's putting up. But if he adds more to his game and his finishing stays as good as it is, he will set the Premier League on fire. And that would be the missing piece in terms of winning the Champions League.
So it's the first meeting between Manchester City and Atletico Madrid in a European competition. It's the fourth time that the managers have had a go at each other. 2 wins for Guardiola, 1 win for Diego Simeone. So how's this one going to play out? For me, I feel like the tie's settled here, because I think if Atletico Madrid can get something, be it a draw or even losing by 1 goal, because there are no away goals, of course, and take that back to the Wanda, I think they've got a really, really good shot. But at the same time, I really wouldn't be surprised if Man City feel very comfortable with someone like Riyad Mahrez, who's been superb, has been scoring the goals in the Champions League, top scorer for Man City this year. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets on the score sheet, they win this one 2-0, and then they go and manage the game, because you were talking about not having that striker. The one missing piece maybe isn't that striker, but the one thing that you always have with Man City is control over the football. So it is, of course, 2-legged affair. If at halftime after this first leg, they're 2-0 up, and I think that's what it will be. I think they'll be 2-0 up at the end of this leg, and then I think it'll just be game management in the second one, and I think they have just too much, and that's why they are the favourites for the Champions League. That's my prediction. Hugh, what do you think?
Discipline is going to be massively important for Atletico Madrid. Look, take a boring 0-0 home if you need to. Don't give Manchester City the spaces and the chances that they would need to put the tie to bed, like you said. And I think they can do that. I know it sounds boring, but I think the 5 substitutions is a big thing for Diego Simeone. He's able to keep that energy and intensity with his outfield players for as long as possible. He will have a plan for this. Absolutely, he will have a plan for this. And if you can deny City space, if you can frustrate them, you can definitely leave with a draw. I think João Felix is going to be hugely important. When that ball does go to the front, 1 or 2, whoever it might be up there for Atletico Madrid, if they can hold on to the ball, if they can spin in behind, I think they can still cause City problems alongside Antoine Griezmann. So it could be a boring 0-0, but I think Atletico, if they can nick a goal, that would be incredible for the tie. Hi, I'm Hugh Woozencroft from ESPN's Football Forecast. Make sure you're subscribed. You can follow all of our predictions throughout the season and get some other great analysis from our big names as well.